meaning specifically by no substance there, meaning that the justification for these words is rooted in the modern worldview. And we already know for Nietzsche what the modern worldview is, right? It is a worldview of decadence, it is a worldview of collapsed values, it's a worldview of pessimism. It's not a worldview that embraces biology, it's an anti-biological worldview. And as a quick side note, I want to make sure that I make this distinction. By anti-biological, I had an exchange with, I think it's the Pat Show. I forget the name of but I had an exchange with a YouTube viewer, I guess. And what she was saying is she didn't quite understand the distinction of anti-biology. Just as this is a quick tangent. The lecture is really over, but since I brought up anti-biological, I want to make sure that this point is clear. Anti-biological is not sort of the decay or the death of biology, right? When Nietzsche talks about it, is not. When Nietzsche says anti-biology, he does not mean sort of death, dying, decay, sort of decay in that sense. When Nietzsche says anti-biology, he means the condemnation of nature. Nature as a state of affairs, the example that I gave, I don't know, 2 hours ago in other video series, was of the black woman and the white woman. The black woman grows an afro, let's just say, the black woman grows an afro or grows dreads as her natural state of affairs. Anti-biology is saying that that state of affairs, the judgment, remember, the judgment is, because anti-biology is a consequence of social judgments, and you should know this now, so I'm not going to explain what that means. Anti-biology, as a consequence of social judgments, is saying that what you have as natural is wrong. That's what anti-biology is. For white women, the pressure to be, you know, super, super, super petite, super, super thin, unrealistically, unnaturally thin, that social pressure, that judgment that, oh, you're a little round, that's bad, is anti-biological, right? So it's not the destruction of biology as any social judgment that arrives as a consequence of sort of a negation of a natural state of affairs. A natural state of affairs, people get pissed off. You hurt me, I'm going to hurt you back, right? The idea that you slap me and I should turn the other cheek and allow you to slap my other cheek is unnatural. Insofar as it's unnatural, it's anti-biological, right? So anti-biological really has nothing at all to do with biology, right? When we're talking about social norms and social judgments, that's social construct stuff, right? It's more social science stuff. It's not science, biological science, right? Though it can pertain to biological science. So just as a quick aside, I wanted to make sure that I made the distinction between biology and anti-biology, right? Nature and anti-biology. Nature, for Nietzsche, obviously something good. And later we'll see what nature is, the progress towards nature, all that, as we near the end of this lecture. And also the discussion of, more discussion on what our progress towards and our recognitions towards embracing. It's going to sound so bizarre, but it does sound weird, but this is what I love about Nietzsche, is the contradiction. And he is very contradictory and sort of almost confusing in his writing style, but it's just so rich and genius, is embracing immorality, right? It's the word, like I could never tell my daughter to embrace immorality. When she gets older, I'll tell her to embrace immorality, right? Because then she'll have an understanding. So right now she's young and, we have, I know what it is. The stories are about morals and such. Nietzsche, I don't think he'd like that. Nietzsche wouldn't like that. But, embracing immorality, as paradoxical as it sounds, the embrace of immorality will lead us to a liberated, natural state of affairs, right? The natural part of me as being can manifest itself because I've embraced immorality. But that does not mean I go, and this is where people completely mess up in the association between Nietzsche and the National Socialist Party. This part I am biased, and I will say that this is a complete conflation, is that he's not at all saying, and I don't want to jump ahead, but he's not at all saying that insofar as I embrace a will to power, I use that power to then oppress, because that's the natural drive, and that's a good thing, right? That's not what he's saying, right? Nietzsche's not saying that that's necessarily a good thing. He is saying it is something that we do. He is saying it is something that, insofar as we have a will to power, insofar as we have a will to dominate, some of us have a will to dominate and control, then we should be able to express that. Which is not to say that other people won't want to oppose us from expressing that, right? And that's the part that they forget, right? They forget that with respect to Nietzsche, he's not just saying it's just all about power and domination. That's such a superficial read of the text. And if we're at this level of the analysis and that's what you think, then you really just, you got to go stop the video, go back to the beginning and watch a couple sections over, because that's not what Nietzsche's saying. Nietzsche is saying that this is a dialectic process. This is an ongoing process of individuals who have power and individuals who are powerless, and my attempt to gain power and oppress those who used to oppress me. And this cycle continues for Nietzsche indefinitely on into infinity. And this is natural. It's not that it's good, it's not that it's bad, it's beyond good and bad. Just like it's beyond good and evil, it's beyond good and bad. It has nothing to do with it being good and bad, because good and bad are moral judgments, right? It just is, right? So you can look at his account as a descriptive account, right? This is not, and this is the point. This is a descriptive, not a prescriptive account, right? He is describing the state of affairs, and I think this is a phenomenal description of, I think this is a phenomenal description. I think this description, coupled with some hope for, human equality, is a good thing. But Nietzsche would say, listen, that's never going to happen. This is all that exists, and that's the point, right? So, again, I think it's absolutely imperative that we recognize what he's doing and his contributions. And on that, I conclude this section of the analysis. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch my videos. I'm Dr. Jason J. Campbell. Have a good day.